These allegations are ridiculous, but I want to get your thoughts on these allegations. Not so much the fact that whether the prosecutors knew about it, but just the fact that this could have happened.
Doesn't surprise me in the least. But what I would do in a situation like this is just cross-examine him on it at the trial. You can bring in all the witnesses who allegedly exercised undue influence or coerced this doctor into changing his opinion on the stand from what he initially opined after performing the autopsy. Keep in mind that he physically worked on George Floyd's body, meaning he dissected, transected, opened up his body and looked at it physically, anatomically, visually, every which way it could be analyzed, and that was his opinion. Nobody else did that other than, I believe, Dr. Michael Baden, who was hired to do a private autopsy, who disagreed with the findings. But what I found interesting is that the prosecution did not call Dr. Baden to the stand at Chauvin's trial. And I think the reason why they didn't do that is because the defense then would have called Dr. Baker to the stand to refute it. Again, he physically worked on the body. And in a way, I'm kind of disappointed with, forensic pathologists and the whole healing arts, because there's supposed to be a symbol, an icon of objectivity here. And to succumb to outside pressures is bad for science and medicine.
Yeah, no question about it. Now, if he does take the stand and he is cross-examined on some of these issues, we do have him testifying in the Chauvin case of his beliefs under oath. So clearly, and actually I want to play a little of that right now. It's on direct examination. Baker's on the stand. He talks about neck compression contributing to the death of Floyd. Let's listen.
Dr. Baker, can you tell us how it is physiologically that the subdural restraint and neck compression caused Mr. Floyd's death?
In my opinion, the physiology of what was going on with Mr. Floyd on the evening of May 25th is, you've already seen the photographs of his coronary arteries, so that you know he had very severe underlying heart disease. I don't know that we specifically got to it, Counselor, but Mr. Floyd also had what we call hypertensive heart disease, meaning his heart weighed more than it should. So he has a heart that already needs more oxygen than a normal heart by virtue of its size, and it's limited in its ability to step up to provide more oxygen when there's demand because of the narrowing of his coronary arteries. Now, in the context of an altercation with other people that involves things like physical restraint, that involves things like being held to the ground, that involves things like the pain that you would incur from having your cheek up against the asphalt, an abrasion on your shoulder, those events are going to cause stress hormones to pour out into your body, specifically things like adrenaline. And what that adrenaline is going to do is it's going to ask your heart to beat faster. It's going to ask your body for more oxygen so that you can get through that altercation. And in my opinion, the law enforcement subdual restraint and the neck compression was just more than Mr. Floyd could take by virtue of those heart conditions.
So, Philip, there you have it. I mean, you could easily take that and impeach anything he might say about some other coercion, could you not?
Of course. And he also said it just moments ago that he did not look to the video clips that had aired right around the time of the man's death. He didn't want that to influence his opinion in any way. But obviously he did look at that. But what I think is going to help is the fact that during the autopsy, if I recall, there was no injury found anywhere to Mr. Floyd's throat anatomy or to the neck that would support the asphyxiation theory by way of the knee. Yes, we did see it live. We saw it on the video. We saw it at the trial. But the issue is going to be whether or not it truly was one of the causative factors leading to his death. And I don't know if Dr. Baker would have reached that same conclusion had he not watched the videos. Because remember, his opinion was based on a physical and visual examination, medical examination of Mr. Floyd's body.
No question about it. I agree with you 100%. And I always thought there was something not really clear in his writing of his autopsy. I thought there may have been some room in there that perhaps the state could work with. I wasn't sure where it was coming from. I think it was just his beliefs. It's become clear. But let me ask you this. If in fact it comes out and they're able to dig in and find out this did happen, maybe prosecutors even knew about it, how does that affect the Chauvin case, or does it have any effect at all?
I think it's a Brady violation. Just so viewers are aware, all that means is that, the defense is entitled to all exculpatory evidence that could materially affect the outcome. If they withheld that, if they did not turn that over to Mr. Chauvin's counsel, I think that's, at a minimum, it's grounds for a new trial. I don't know if his counsel included that in his motion for a new trial, but it definitely should be looked into, investigated. If not, it will definitely be explored on appeal, because that is potentially exculpatory evidence that could exonerate anybody charged in that crime.
No question. And no, it is not included in his current motion, but he certainly could amend it. And I'm sure he'll be keeping a close eye on how this proceeds for sure. Philip, stand by. It is time for us to take another break. Now, when we come back, it is time to hear from you guys. We asked you, our CourtTV viewers, what questions you have about our upcoming cases that we're covering on CourtTV. We'll take a look at what you had to say right after this break. So keep it right where it is.